The first ever Crimewatch programmes, I think it was 14 years ago, we covered a terrible crime in which a man posed as a gas board official and murdered a shopkeeper who'd let him into his kitchen. We now have what may be a somewhat similar crime, this time a man posing as a water company official. It happened in Bethnal Green in East London on a Friday afternoon 4 weeks ago. The victim was Mary Lazenby. Her family are all keen that this appeal should go ahead, but they're so distressed they couldn't themselves take part. So Mary's carer guides us through what happened.
Her life was her cats. She loved her cats. I used to say to her, "Mary, have your dinner?" And she'd make sure the cat had her dinner first. Chico! Chico! I've been going to see Mary on and off for about 10 years. And I used to take her dinner every day.
Come on then.
She mainly just stayed in her flat. She might put the telly on sometimes, but she was mainly with her cat.
Yes, you are.
Deep down, you do have your little favourites. I'd be lying if I said I didn't. You know, and Mary was one of them.
Mary had her own flat at the end of this corridor in Rochester Court, housing for the elderly. It may be sheer coincidence, but her neighbour, Sophie, had an unexpected visitor on Friday afternoon, the 21st of May. He had no right to be in the building, and certainly no right to be inside Sophie's flat.
Oh, you? Hello there, I'm just from the water board here to see about your water. Do you have a bowl or anything like that I can borrow?
There's nothing wrong with my water. Let me see your identity card.
Yeah, of course, there you go. Okay. Tell you what, should we go and see the warden? She knows me, she'll vouch for me.
Good out.
Okay.
Later on, Sophie found her purse was missing. Soon afterwards, two men were seen sitting on a wall in Wilmot Street outside Rochester Court. Who were they? And was this their van? Then, half an hour later, the son of some residents answered the intercom.
Sorry, I've got the wrong flat.
Okay.
Who was trying to get into the building around 5 p.m. that Friday? Was this you, innocently going to the wrong flat? Or was it the man who'd stolen Sophie's purse? Then, an hour later, at Mary's end of the corridor.
Here we are, ladies. Come on then, off we come. I thought we could have...
As we came out of the lift, we saw a man at Mary Lazenby's door.
Hello, Mary, are you all right? We're going to try that dress on.
I assumed he was visiting. He was very casual, and he just walked in and out of sight. I've got a lump in my throat. Every time I talk about it, I feel sick. You know? Because she would have let anybody in. She would have believed anything anybody would have told her. But to do what they did to her is just unbelievable.
Half an hour later, Mary was heard talking to someone in her flat.
What are you doing that to me for?
Even then, I just thought it was a relative or a visitor of some kind that she knew. She wasn't shouting, she didn't sound frightened.
For you, and we can go down.
As we went in the lift, I heard Mary's front door open and close quite quickly. Now I think that maybe it was her opening the front door and maybe him shutting it. Maybe she was trying to get out. And I wish I'd gone back up to have a listen outside the door, or even from the lift I might have heard something.
OK, dear, I'm all done. I'll see you next week, all right? You take care, all right?
When I left my clients, I was walking towards Mary's door. A young fella came out of the door.
You going in this flat?
Oh, no.
He didn't appear nervous at all.
He was 17 to 18 years old, medium height, had short blonde hair, a thin face with a chipped tooth, and was smart and clean. Mary's body was discovered in her living room the next morning. She'd been punched and kicked so hard that her jaw, her ribs, and her spine were broken.
I just remember the lady I used to go to every single day for years.
Warm, lovely, simple lady. And I'll just remember smiling at me at the door.
Mick, whoever killed her seems to have completely lost control.
Yeah, Mary's injuries were absolutely horrendous. Her jaw, her sternum, every rib in her body was broken. Her spine was actually snapped, and her heart and her liver both exploded as a result of the force used on her.
She was a small, frail lady with a disability.
She was,
It
yes.
seems inconceivable that whoever did this could have done this as a first offence.
I wouldn't have thought so. I would have thought there was probably a string of minor offences that have led up to this.
Did he do this on his own, or do you think there were two people involved, or perhaps more?
There was certainly, he was in the flat on his own. I would think that there was a possibility that there was another man outside the flat somewhere, maybe in the street outside, or outside the confines of the flat itself.
How seriously in trouble is that accomplice?
Well, I can't believe that two people went out that day intent on committing this horrendous crime. I would think that probably one of them doesn't know what his accomplice has done. If he was outside and he went out with a view of committing what he thought was a minor crime, a theft of some description, and now he knows what's actually happened within, if he comes forward and speaks to us, tells us who the other person is, I can assure him I will deal with him for the minor offence of theft, providing he's got nothing to do with this offence of murder at all. And
if he doesn't come forward, is he in much bigger trouble?
Of course he is, yeah, because that just shows that he may have some sort of knowledge, or he may have been part of it.
Now this e-fit we've got from the witness who saw the man coming out of the flat, you're fairly confident of that. Tell us what you know about this man's description.
The e-fit is very good. The man is about 18 years old, he's 5'10", he's got an angular face, pointed features, quite slim build. He's described as quite good looking with short cropped hair, but he's got half a tooth missing on the left hand upper part of his mouth, and his smile actually ruins his good looks apparently because there's a buckle in the rest of his teeth.
Now this is terrifying to people, this sort of attack, particularly to elderly people. You were telling me earlier, older people shouldn't be worried about this sort of thing. It's very, very rare indeed.
It is very rare, Nick. Yeah, older people shouldn't be worried at all because statistics show that younger people are more prone to be victims of violent attacks. And as I said before, there's absolutely no need for this sort of violence to be used on this type of person.
Well, this is a horrible crime, though. There may be something, anything that you can contribute. If there is, please, 0500 600 600. That call costs you nothing. Or you could ring detectives in the incident room on 0171 790 1212. That's 0171 790 1212.